Okay, so this is a slide of the trachea, and what you'll see is on the top of the trachea up here, this is your epithelial layer over here, and so this would be the opening to your airspace where you breathe. So the first layer of cells up here, you know that in the trachea, what type of epithelium is it? Pseudostratified, ciliated columnar epithelium. So that's the top layer. Epithelial cells always sit on top of what kind of cells? Anybody know?
CT or basilar?
No, well, it's called lamina propria.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I think you guys need to know that for the slide.
we do.
Okay? So you have your epithelial cells on top, then your layer of lamina propria. Okay? These round structures here, there are three of them right here, 1, 2, 3, and another one over there. Those are what's called seromucous glands. And then there's a blank space here. Don't worry about what that blank space is. That's just the way that the slide preparation was. But I'll come down a little bit more into this layer. And everybody should be able to recognize this from Bio 107. And that's hyaline cartilage. Exactly. So we'll go through the layers again. So again, trachea. Top layer, you have the pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium that sits on top of lamina propria. The round structures in that layer also is seromucous glands, and then everything sits on top of hyaline cartilage. Any questions? No. Good. Let's go to the next one. Find a good part of the slide to look at. All right, I'll take us through this step by step. So this is a slide of the lungs. The first thing you need to be able to identify on the lungs are bronchioles, and there are two bronchioles here that I'm going to show you. The first one is actually, I'll put it right in the middle of the screen. It's this thick walled area. It's filled in on this part. That's a cross section of a bronchiole. You can see it's more round shaped. And if I go back over to this area, you'll see that this thicker walled area here, it's more of a longitudinal cross section, or a longitudinal section of a bronchiole. Okay? So that's the first thing you need to know are bronchioles. The next thing that you need to know in the lung, you need to know that there are things called alveolar ducts. And anytime you see a nice long open space like this, that's called the alveolar duct, running this way. Okay? At the end of the alveolar duct, you have what's called an alveolar sac. So this would be the duct coming down here, and this whole area here would be the alveolar sac. And then you also need to identify individual alveoli. And so anytime you see either these round shapes here, there's a whole one right over there, another one over here, and then even in the alveolar sacs, it's kind of just a cross section, or I should say a side view of those alveoli. Okay? Any questions on that? I'll do a full run through again. So again, it's the lung. You have your bronchioles. You have your alveolar ducts, which are the long open runs. At the end of the alveolar duct is the alveolar sac. And then you have the individual alveoli also, all the small structures.
So it's the circles, John? Or
Yeah.
what is,
Some of these are more circular here.
yeah.
There's another whole one here. It's just the way that it's cut really and the sample is. So these are all alveoli.
And She said indentations in the walls.
Right.
That's how, yeah.
And
that's how I
right there.
remember. Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Everyone good?
Anybody know what this is just by looking at it?
No.
Okay,
This is the stomach. The stain on this slide isn't very pink,
Not very much of anything.
no, but I'll walk you through it.
okay. When you're looking at two different areas of the digestive tract, the first one you have to look at is the stomach, and then the next one is going to be the duodenum or the duodenum, which is, of course, the first part of the small intestine. The way you're going to be able to tell the difference between the two areas, because they both have the same cell layers, is if you look at the innermost layer, which is called the mucosa, okay? In the stomach, you're going to have nice round shapes over here. They're out pockets. Those are the, anybody remember what those are called? Those folds of the stomach? No, not gastric pits. Don't worry, well, I'm not going to get you confused. But anyway, you have nice round folds in the stomach here. When we're looking at the duodenum or the duodenum, because they have villi, which are those finger-like projections, it's going to look a lot more spiky in that layer. Okay, so these nice gentle folds that let you know that it's the stomach. Okay, there are a few different layers that you need to know about in the stomach. The first layer, the top layer, this would be the area over here where it's the inside of your stomach where food would be. So the first layer, it's just slightly pink stained. This is the mucosa layer. Okay? And then you'll see that there's a nice, it's a tan band, it's a thick or dense band, it's a thin one that goes just along the inside of the mucosa. Everybody see that? Okay, that's called your muscularis mucosae or mucosa. Okay? Just below that band, you'll see it's a little more hollow looking over here. This is all submucosa. So it's this layer that runs starting here and ending over there. This is all submucosa. And then where it starts to get nice and dense again, over on this side, this is the muscularis externa. All right, so running through the layers again, pink layer, mucosa. This dense band is the muscularis mucosae. This next layer is submucosa. And then out here is muscularis externa.
We also need to know.
I'll get to it. Absolutely. You need to know gastric pits, and you need to know about simple columnar epithelium, and you need to know about lamina propria. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. But we're not going to be able to see that on this magnification. We need to go to a higher magnification. Okay, so what I'm going to do is when I start magnifying, I'm going to bring us right to these areas in here. Okay, these folds in the stomach. And these are going to be within the mucosa. So we're not quite there yet. We're going to go in even more. Okay, so now, this is, again, the opening of the stomach, where all your food would be, and this is the start of the mucosa, okay? All of these in pockets, those are your gastric pits, okay? The gastric pits, you'll see the epithelial cells that are lining the gastric pits. Those are simple columnar epithelium. See how they look nice and columnar shaped or column shaped? All right, and then, as we know, epithelium cells sit on top of lamina propria.
So everything back here is lamina propria, and it even extends outward over to here. So it's this darker stained area. That's all lamina propria, coming down this way and this way. And then all your columnar, simple columnar epithelium sit on top of the lamina propria. So everybody good with that? Okay, so you're not going to be able to see the gastric pits, the simple columnar epithelium, or the lamina propria until you really get to this magnification here. Okay. And that is the stomach. Any questions before I move on?